Hey everybody, it's your girl Lola with Lola Chronicles, and we interviewing today with Miss Shawnnell Batiste. How are you?
I am doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Miss. Your favorite no bullshit therapist. Tell me
That
about
be me.
yourself.
Well, I am Shawnnell Batiste, your favorite no bullshit therapist. I have a private practice called Choosing Empowerment, and the focus in that private practice is to help provide access for marginalized and disenfranchised folks who usually have trouble getting to therapy. So we are barrier breakers. I'm out here trying to, figure out whatever is in your way of getting the mental health help that you need. I'm trying to break the barrier down to get you in here. And stigma is one of the biggest barriers. And so having a black therapist and having somebody that looks like you, having someone in the LGBTQ community that understands, where you coming from, coming from your neighborhoods, from the things that you experience on a regular basis. There's just some stuff you ain't got to explain to me. So I want to create a practice. I continue to create a practice that invites folks that have trouble getting there.
So, what made you decide to want to get into that?
Man, I've been wanting to be in the mental health field since I was like, I don't know, 7 years old. Because I come from a family with a bunch of junk, right?
Okay,
And
yeah.
so my mom got divorced when I was about 8, but I remember around 7. And I'm assuming, because I don't remember a lot of it because of trauma, but I'm assuming it must have been around 7 where I was seeing some stuff or hearing some stuff or feeling some stuff.
Right.
And at first I said I wanted to be a child psychiatrist. I don't even know if I knew what a child psychiatrist was. But I'm sure whatever I saw on TV, I knew it was helping people. And apparently I was a sad kid, and I needed that help.
Right.
So ever since I was little, I wanted, and I always tell people that I don't even think it was a decision made by me per se, as much as it was a gift given to me. So I tell people, I this is not what I do, is who I am. Because if you see me in any other arena, like this is just me. This is just me. And so I went to school and nurtured that thing and got the degrees and the license and all that stuff so I can do it professionally. Because I was already doing it anyway.
That's what's up. Yeah, because and we do, as black individuals, it's hard for us to trust people to talk to. I even
Absolutely.
considered getting myself a therapist because it's just I feel like somebody told me they was like, well, how can you trust somebody you don't even know?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us we're afraid to talk, but it's like
Mhm.
the confidence and yourself when you try to step up and like, okay, I need help mentally without being
Right.
judged because you
Right.
talk to your friends and your family and you always judged by
Mhm.
what you talk to them about, or if you
Right.
express your feelings, it can turn into something more than what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
we don't take the time to sit down and understand each other. So
Absolutely.
that's dope that
Absolutely.
that you've been doing this for so long and you knew at such a young age, like, this is what I want to do. I want to help people because as a black society we deal with mental health so much, but people don't want to talk about
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely. And the thing that you said a minute ago about, how can I talk to somebody that I don't know, right? And it's because of the setup from our families and our friends. If they already taught us that we can't trust them and they're close to us, our our general and overall mentality is, well, if I can't trust my people, I can't trust a stranger either, right? When it's just the opposite. That stranger, they don't know you. Who is there
exactly.
to judge? Because my opinion at that point shouldn't be that valuable in your life that you should be able to just spill all your beans and be like, okay, it is what it is, right? And that's the key to being able to go to a therapist, because there is no judgment. There shouldn't be any judgment because we human, and I've seen some things. So because no one is perfect and no profession is perfect, but the premise is for you not to be in a place or a space where you are judged, right? There's no bias right? Like, I don't know you personally. I'm not close to the situation. It's like I have people all the time like, can you be my therapist? No, bro, you my brother, you my cousin, you my best friend. No, I can't be your therapist because I'm too close to the situation. I got personal feelings involved, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And stuff. You come and tell me about your bro, and I'm like,
I
nah, if
know
you
him.
don't like him, I don't like
Right.
him. If
Exactly.
you
You
don't
know,
like him, I
so
don't like him.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
We tend to
And
do
so,
that.
but as right as a therapist, though, I don't have any stake in one end or the other, right? I can
Mhm.
be non-partial, and I can say, okay, let's look at just the facts of the situation, and I am high accountability. And when I talk with no bullshit, that's what I mean. I'm high accountability, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. And I'm gonna be like, is that what you want? Is it so? How that making you feel? Like, or like the Dr. Phil used to always say, how's that working for you?
Right.
you know, like if it's not working in your favor, it's my job to help you see that objectively because you in it, right? And so that I have kind of pluck you out of it and be like, okay, look at it from the outside. Would you tell your friend? Would you talk to your friend like you talk to yourself? And so it's just asking those insightful questions and all that. That sometimes your best friend ain't got that. Your sister ain't got that. Your mom ain't got that. And most of the time, it's the people that's closest to you that's causing the issues anyway.
Yes. So very true. Like I had an issue last night with a friend, and I don't feel like we're going to be able to get that communication. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a blockage somewhere in there where
Right.
she feel a certain way, I feel a certain way, and it's just like we gonna keep bumping heads about it, or it's just like brush it under the rug type situation. And
Right.
I'm getting to a point in my life now that I'm tired of brushing things under the rug, but I'm
Amen.
also learning when not to say nothing. So it's like it's a tit for tat for me. It's hard, and I
Yeah.
do, I felt like I'm glad that I got to meet you because maybe you might become my no bullshit therapist.
But do
You
what you
know.
gotta do. I'm here. What I'm saying? Because the idea is like you said, in that situation, some stuff ain't worth your energy. Once you recognize, because sometimes we outgrow people. You know what I'm saying? You on your journey, you healing yourself, you doing your thing and all that, and you got to recognize that everybody can't come with you. Yeah, and that's the hardest thing for us to understand. And because as you heal, you naturally elevate. You actually feel more confident to do the things you want to do, or get into the things you love, or step out on faith and start doing things that you wasn't doing when you was living in fear and all that. And if they're not doing that same work for themselves, then literally you got to leave them behind. Your conversation is going to be different. Your mentality is different, and so how can they relate with you anymore? Right.
You right.
And that's the hardest thing, that you got to grieve that relationship. You got to let it go.
Yeah, because then some people, I feel like we don't understand when it that we might be the problem sometimes too. You know, it could be that
Oh,
person
absolutely.
or it could be ourselves. We never, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to learn how to
Right.
take accountability for my actions as well and how I handle things.
Absolutely.
Why do you
Relationships are
feel?
twofold. They're reciprocal.
Yeah, true. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes when you got to let people go. It's very hard when you got to let people go
It's the
sometimes.
tough.
So what do you
Yeah. And
feel like
grieving that
as?
thing is to, and we've, go ahead. I think we got a delay.
I think so too, but it's okay. But what do you feel like as a black community that we struggle with the most when it
Self
comes to
worth,
our mental health?
self esteem, self worth, self esteem, um, self value. We don't value ourselves enough.
Mm.
Um, and it's not necessarily our fault because that's what they teach us. They teach us not to like our bodies and not to like our skin and not to like our hair, and be this way and be that way. You should look like the popular folk or whatever the case may be. I'm not against anybody altering their bodies if that's what they choose to do. But when you reach a point that you want to alter to the extent that I need to look like this person, or I need to look like, so you're not admiring and appreciating the body that you have, right?
Hmm.
And I grew up, I've always been heavy. I've been heavy since I was about 12. Um, and my mother did not help that heaviness because she called me fat all the time, and she was all in the, by the time when I gained that weight, I was on a diet, period. And so I became obsessed with my body type and what I looked like and all that kind of stuff. Now I've been healthy my entire life. Every time I go to the doctor, blood pressure good, this good. They look at me sideways like I don't have no health issues, dude. I can move, I
Mm-hmm.
can exercise and all that. Now my age is getting to me now and stuff like that. But I've always been heavy but healthy and stuff like that. But my mama had in my head that I wasn't necessarily attractive so I had this body image deal, but it's because of looking at and for my mother, it was a health issue, right?
Yeah.
My mom, I'm 5'2", my mom was 4'11", and she had a season in her life where she was really healthy and I mean heavy and also unhappy at the same time, which I think was causing her to be heavy. So much of our physical stuff is connected to our mental, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think just our quest in not loving ourselves the way we are and trying to be like other people and trying to be somebody else and not, just not having enough value in ourselves, right? Because when
Mm-hmm.
you don't have value in yourself, you don't make good choices for yourself. You're trying to
True.
fill empty spaces, empty holes, and spaces where your parents left. And parenting is not a perfect art, right? You learning as you go, and we're usually using information from our parents. Either you're repeating the same or you're trying to pick out the stuff that was good and use that and leave the stuff behind. But how do I do that? We don't know. It's all
Exactly.
trial
Yeah.
and error, right?
You're
And stuff
right.
like that. And so it's we're gonna cause some sort of damage, right? And stuff. But as adults, it's our job to heal the inner child that didn't get what they needed. But instead, we start looking for somebody else to fill those spaces. I didn't get enough hugs as a kid, and that's my love language. So I need somebody to touch me all the time. Well, then you end up with people touching you that you really don't want to be touched by, because that's the
Yeah,
attention that
true.
you're seeking, you know,
You're true.
and all
That's
that.
so
And
very true.
you wind up in situations that like you don't really want to be in, but you feel comfortable in them because that's how you used to being loved, or that's what you used to missing, and so we end up in relationships that are not good for us, um then we depressed, then we sad, then we anxious, or
Yep.
I tell couples all the time, usually you got two different people from two different upbringings coming into the same household. Oh yeah, we love each other, but your trauma and their trauma about to be fighting.
Exactly. So do you feel like childhood trauma can turn into adulthood trauma?
Oh, it definitely does. It transfers. If you don't heal it, then it's still there. That child that's still living in you because you get stuck at whatever traumatic age
Hmm.
emotionally. You're chronologically, you're still growing, you're still aging, but that kid in you that's still hurting is still there. And you'll see that person come out when you're in a crisis situation, when you're being hurt, or when you or that child is trying to protect you from experiencing the same kind of stuff that they did as a kid, and so that childhood trauma inner child work is like key to me. I can always pull somebody back to, okay, when did you first start feeling this way? I had one client that his general language was disrespect. I was disrespected, and I can't handle people. I was like, when was the first time you felt disrespected?
Right.
And so he had to take that back to that first feeling, right? And realize even then he started having to bring it back further than that. Like even as a kid, he wasn't respected because especially in Black households, we grow up in households where you're supposed to be singing and not heard. You don't have a voice. You don't get to tell me nothing. You don't have no opinion. You're not allowed to be sad or depressed, so you don't have feelings either. I'm going to tell you how to feel, what to do, how to do it, and it's power and control. Where that dynamic comes from slavery, because had been,
Exactly.
there was power and control upon us. So that's what we learned. So we just carried that when we became free. We used that same strategy on our kids, and now we're just starting to break free from that and recognize like that's harmful. But that's that generational trauma, passing it along.
How do you feel we can try to put a stop to those generational traumas? Like as far as me, I've been through a lot as a kid, and it's like listening to you. It's like maybe I am carrying this weight from a child. How can I prevent myself from putting this burden on my child?
Awareness. Oh, you got to become aware of it, right? When we learn past, and of course, I'm fortunate enough to be aware of it because I always want to be in the field, right? And so I'm always looking at it, studying it. It don't mean I ain't made the same kind of mistakes, right? Because my mama was a yeller. I'm a yeller, you
Me
know,
too.
and so
I'm a yeller.
right, and so I have to be aware of that, right? Um, After some time, I recognized in my marriage that I was depressed, and so I sought help during that time, and I got some medication. I eventually started doing therapy, and I started just checking my own stuff, right,
Hmm.
and all that, and it started helping me to discover those empty pieces and what I was seeking and why I wasn't leaving a situation that was miserable for me, right? Because like I say, you stay stuck in those places and all that. And I tried to pull my husband at the time, into it, right? And he made his small effort or whatever. We still wind up being divorced. But every time there's a situation that doesn't go in the way we want it to go, then we need to sit back and look at the situation. Like you said earlier, what part is me? What part is me? I got a teenager that's yelling and screaming at me, but what part is me? Was I
Right.
not listening to her? Was I not, engaging enough? Like, what did I do? What was my part? Right? My kids talk all the time about, my facials. My ex-husband used to talk about my facial all the time. And why you looking like that? I'm like what? Like what? This is my regular face,
Right.
But I had an RBF that I didn't recognize I had, and it made me look mean, and it made me look unapproachable. So even my kids started going, you approachable?
Right. Yeah.
Are you
True.
focused? Are you upset? You thinking about something? But my awareness helped with their awareness, right? And I'm open with my kids. I talk about everything, right? And especially mental health stuff. Like if I see a mood switch in anybody in my household, you good? You talk about something? You okay? So it's about being aware and cognizant of, the people that you're around. I talk to my kid. My kids know all of my traumas. They know every essay. They know all of my mama stuff. Like they know everything. They know how I feel about not having a father present. They know everything and how that affects me. And I process with them like I process with my therapist, right? Just awareness, right? So that if they see a mood switch, like one of them will come in the room and be like, you need to talk about something, you know, having that support surrounding you.
Yeah.
But you have to create that, right? Because I didn't come from a family that had that level of support around each other, right?
That's what I was gonna say
Um,
too. I didn't come up with that type of. I mean, my grandparents raised me and aunts and stuff because my mom, she was on drugs, so she wasn't around like that.
okay.
And so, certain me becoming a mother, I'm trying to be there, but it's like sometimes I'm scared. My daughter's 10. So when do you
Yeah.
think is the proper age to unload that on her? Because sometimes our kids can adapt to our pain and begin to try to carry it themselves. So when is the proper age to sit down and have those type of conversations with your kids?
They come as needed. So I
Mm.
wouldn't sit down with my kid and be like, okay, let me tell you all my trauma. Right.
Right.
They happen as they happen, right? When you recognize, hey, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, that wasn't cool. I don't like how I felt after that. I know my baby don't like how that went. And when you go in and be a grown ass woman and apologize and be like, you know what, Mom, I'm sorry for yelling at you like that. You know, I was feeling this because our kids need to see us as human, right? I was feeling frustrated. I was feeling agitated. You know, Mama got stuff going on. Like there's 1,000 things, that you can talk to your kid about in that moment that's age appropriate, of course, we're not trying to, you know, we're not trying to overwhelm them and give them information they don't need. But you definitely want to be honest, right? Because if you're being honest about your feelings, that means they're safe to be honest about theirs. So the
True.
next time she cop an attitude, she might come back to you and be like, Mom, I'm sorry I had attitude earlier, but I was frustrated about this, or this, or somebody messing with me at school, or I'm not doing well in my work. So it's teaching her how to identify those feelings and figure out where they really come from. Because that's all we be doing is projecting. Oh Lord,
Right.
the
True.
bills due. I can't pay the rent this month. I'm stressed out. And then that kid come and ask for ice cream. You're like, get the F out of my face. You
Right.
know, but
Yeah. True.
that wasn't for them. That was because you're mad about your situation, right?
Mm.
And so there has to be an awareness. I tell my kids, and it, I'm feeling some type of way. I'm going in my room. Please don't bother me. I need to process some things, or I need to be alone. I need to isolate, whatever it is, so that I'm not taking that out on you,
Mm.
right? And I especially learned that I have a bipolar 2 diagnosis,
Okay.
and that and I realized I was so agitated all the time. And my kids had to point it out to me because I started some medication. And so I would ask them, I was like, is it working? Am I different? And it was like, oh, yeah, you keep taking that. Because you come home and you like, why is the flow on the flow?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I'm glad that's working, right? But like I said, because they're aware and I talked to them about it, I didn't go and get my diagnosis and didn't say a word to them and just start taking medicine, right? Um, my mom did a lot of that with her physical health that we knew nothing about, right? They didn't tell us any of those things, but having the awareness, and I know we're afraid to tell our kids because we're like, I don't want to worry them. They're worried anyway. They see
Right.
your
Yeah.
behaviors. They see the changes. Kids can see all the things. Parents be like, "Oh yeah, because we're not getting along, and we just staying together for the kid." The kid know y'all not getting along. They see it. They feel it. you know. And so you're not hiding anything. It's best to have an open conversation, and process it with them. See how they feeling about it. You know, do they need to cry about a thing or process a thing and all that kind of stuff. I just think communication is the thing we don't use enough of, and it helps everything, right? Just being honest. Like I said, age appropriate, of course, but honest, right? You know,
True. That's very true.
that I think that's true.
That's very true because and a lot of people we are afraid to communicate with our kids because then what I tell my daughter all the time, I ain't your home girl, you know.
Right.
But then I had to learn how to, like maybe she feel because certain ways, you have to have boundaries on how we
Right.
talk to each other.
Absolutely.
Because I tell her in a minute, I ain't your now take that bop out your neck now. I ain't your home girl. But we can talk,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Because she'd get lost
Right.
in the story and then it'd be like, oh, like, wait a minute, we ain't on recess. I'm still your mama now. I gotta, bring it
Right.
back, bring it back. But then I try not to
Right.
be so hard because I don't want her to close up on me either. Because it's hard
Exactly.
for her to express her feelings. And kids go through a lot that we don't even know.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm learning
And,
that.
and, and it's getting worse and worse now. We went through a
I'm
lot of
learning
stuff as
that
kids ourselves.
these kids be
Yeah.
stressed out.
All the time. All the time. Over the simplest of things, right?
Yes,
They need a safe space to be able to talk about those things. I tell my kids, I I'm I'm friendly, but I'm not your friend.
exactly.
That's how I separate it.
Hmm. I
I
have to
can
try
listen, we can talk and all that. Just don't forget I'm your mama. Don't forget I'm your mama. So, you can talk to me freely, but not exactly like you talk to your friends. you
that.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
there's certain details of situations
I don't
I
want to
don't
know.
need,
I don't need. Yeah, keep
and
that
all
to
that.
yourself. Because
And
then
like
it
my
put.
youngest is like 17, right?
Okay.
I have adopted kids who are all grown. I have one biological daughter who's 22. And when I say we talk about everything, sex, everything, right? And so when she's coming to me and as a 22-year-old taking care of herself, like I told her, we could be more friends once I'm not taking care of you, right? Because we're on a different level then, right?
Right.
and stuff. And I just treat her like any other adult, right? But she still has that reverence. She still has that respect for me as her mother, right? We tease all the time. I was like, boy, I'm gonna fight you. She was like, and I'm not gonna fight you back because you my mama. I'm just gonna fall on the ground and fall in the fetal position because I'm not gonna hit my mama. you know,
Exactly. Yeah,
you
true.
know that. Even though like she taller than me, she can take my knees out at any time if she wanted to, right? But it's the reverence, right? It's the reverence. And so um I think parents think they're looking for obedience and they think they're looking for, this level of respect that like I'm the boss, but what you're looking for is reverence. You want respect, but respect is not demanded, it's earned, right?
Right, right.
I had to I had to teach her that I was worthy of that respect, right?
Mm,
Because if I hadn't been there for her, then then you just came from my uterus and that was it, right? It's the
right.
difference between being a mother, right, and nurturing your kid and and popping out an ovary and getting it fertilized.
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, like they say with men, you could be a sperm donor, or you can be a dad, right? And
Facts.
so that's the
Facts.
relationship building part, you know. Um, I didn't have much time to build that relationship with my adopted girls because they were all teenagers pretty much when we adopted them. But I did my best to still build those relationships, right? And
Hmm.
stuff, and just let you know, hey, here's what nurturing looks like. Here's, what caring about you looks like and all that. Um, and that's all you can do is to do your best to build that relationship. The best thing I think we can do as parents, though, is think about yourself in that kid's position. What did I need when I was 10? And then give it to them.
Yeah. And see, I struggle with that because at 10, I needed a mother. And
Yeah.
then it's like I didn't have that. So me trying to become me being this mother, like I love my daughter to death and
Yeah.
would give her whatever I can.
Yeah.
But it's like certain things we bump heads. Like I tell her dad all the time, um, because he's in prison. So he'd be like, is y'all getting along out there? And I'll be like,
Mhm.
not today. We not.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not
But you know
today.
what? That's relationships. You ain't gonna get along every day.
I
Sometimes
agree.
you can't stand them and they can't stand you, and that's all right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, is their love, right? I try not to go to bed upset with my kid. I try to go to bed upset at all because that mess with your brain,
Right.
and your body and your spirit, right? And all that. But like me and my 17-year-old, like she the spit of me though. My 17-year-old, like that's my twin. I saw a meme one time. It was like, anybody else trying to parent yourself out of your kid? Yup.
Yeah. Or if you ever got mad at your kids for doing what you be doing.
That right there. That right there. And I'm like, oh, that is so much me. That is so much me. You know. And so because she's so much like me, I can see myself in her, right? But I don't just see the good stuff, I see the bad stuff in me too. Right. And that's the
Yeah.
stuff I'm trying to parent out. But that's the stuff that I need to be able to appreciate. That's a part of me too. Let me teach her how not to be mean. Let me teach her how not to be, because those are traits that we all have, right? And
Exactly.
they might be displaying those things and you don't like them, but that's you. That's your DNA. Like, it might be a daddy DNA that you trying to parent out. Because I've done that 1,000 times too. Like, boy, you just like your daddy right now, and that's not why we're not together.
Man,
And I still gotta deal with this,
yes.
and all that. But
I make jokes and tell
my
her,
therapist helped me with that, and I was like, you know what, your DNA is not the only one that they have. You
we
know,
we have to get reminded of that sometimes because being mothers, we fully just cover them and respond. This is my baby. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? And
Yep.
then I tell her when we bump heads sometimes, she laugh at me because I be like, you know what? You your daddy's son.
Yep. Yep. You your daddy's son.
You your
I tell
daddy's
my girls
son.
all the time, you your daddy's son.
She be like,
For
I know,
real.
boy, I know, but right now you acting like
No,
you
now
your
you your
daddy's
daddy's
son.
son.
So it's like, so I get where you coming from, where you say that it's two. We got to remember that it's two DNAs.
Yeah.
Because as mothers, we get to that point to where no, this is my baby. We
Right.
do that off rip. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? This is
Yeah.
mine. This is
Especially if
mine.
you're the primary parent. Especially if
You
you're the
right.
primary parent.
And
And
I
so you
think,
figure I'm pouring all this into them and I'm
yeah,
pouring all this into them. And my older child, she is like the little one is just like me. The older one is just like her daddy. And so there are even character traits that I'm like, bruh, if you don't kill that noise, but I gotta accept that about her, right? And
Mhm.
she have to recognize if it's a character flaw, right? She have to recognize, and for both of them, what helps them a lot is being around that parent, because they have to look at me too when they're around me and say, okay, how am I like my mama, and what things about my mama am I like that I don't like that I want to change, right?
Mm.
Because again, we are not perfect people, right? And
Right.
so, what, mama, I don't like the fact that you yell every time you get upset, so I don't want to do that. I'm gonna change that in me, right? um and so for both of them being able to see their daddy, face it, because my youngest one, I sent her to him. She was cutting up and I just couldn't take it no more. I'm like,
Right.
always be by your daddy. Um, but she was able to look at him and see the traits that she had that she didn't like that were his. And but it was mirroring, right? It was the
Mhm.
mirror and all that. And my older daughter is the same. And like I told her, I said, Dad has great characteristics and great traits if he works to continue to work on himself, right? And all that. Because if you don't work on the stuff, you can't see those great traits. I married him for a reason. I saw things. I could see the good stuff in him, right? But a person has to be willing to work on themselves and grow, right?
Right.
I had an attitude problem. I used to talk to my husband crazy. You know what I'm saying? I used to do crazy stuff too because of my upbringing or whatever. I had to work on those things and better myself so I could be a better person, a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, a better employee, and now a great entrepreneur, right? And
Right.
all that. And still working, always working. You will never arrive. You're gonna always be trying to elevate, always working on yourself. As soon as I thought I was finished with all the drama and trauma from my mama, something else will come up. And I'm like, I was done with that.
Yeah.
I thought I was done with that.
That's and I understand that. Like I said, I want to try therapy once because it just maybe just unload it all. And then sometimes
Yeah.
my daughter, I want both of us to try it because she holds in like I do. I mean, it's just like boom.
Mm-hmm.
And you be like, what's wrong? Nothing. It's like something wrong.
Yeah.
I can see something is wrong. You don't want to talk about it. And then it's
Right. Well,
like, well,
do
maybe
you
I
talk
don't
about
know
yours though?
how to talk to her about it.
Do you talk about yours?
No.
Well, you taught her that. You taught her that behavior. If you don't talk about yours, she ain't gonna talk about hers. She don't deem it as safe. And we're their example. If mama say it ain't safe, like if you go into an environment with your kid, you holding their hand, they're using you as a guide to determine what's safe and what's not safe. So it's the same thing emotionally, right? If mama don't never talk about her stuff, no, we keep our business to ourselves. We don't talk to nobody about nothing. We keep our stuff in, right? Because we don't trust nobody. You can't trust nobody, right? And how you gonna build a relationship if you don't try to trust nobody? You have to be vulnerable.
Right.
You have to be vulnerable. But it's hard to be vulnerable if your mama wasn't there teaching you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If my mama, and we are taught like if your mama love, what they say, mama's baby's daddy maybe or whatever.
Yep.
Like your mama gonna always love you. I don't care how jacked up you are. You can go to jail. You can murder somebody. It don't matter. Your mama love you regardless. So if you had a mama that wasn't there, then instantly your self value is like, man, my mama couldn't even get it together for me. You know,
Right.
and stuff like that. So that's
Right.
instant, right? And you had grandparents that took care of the business, right? But it still
Mm-hmm.
wasn't your mama. I love my adopted kids like they came from my womb, but I wasn't their mama. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When they got 18 and they was old enough, they went and found their mom and they still want that love. They still want her to do what it is she should have done. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not mad about that. Like I told them, I'm not in competition with your mama. God sent me to raise you or get you out of the system and do what need to be done and show you love and all that kind of stuff. Love your mama, respect your mama. Don't let your mama mess over you. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
there's a difference with that.
Because
I've
it's
loved
easy.
everybody I've ever loved, but I ain't gonna let them mess over me. I know how to love you from way over there.
Right. And see, I'm learning that. I'm learning how to love from way over there.
Yeah.
Because some things just become drainful and it gets tiresome. And and it's just like it becomes tiresome, draining, and then now you down, and I'm ready to uplift myself. So it's like, and then this is all I know.
Mhm.
So I'm turning to the point to where like it's hard for me because I'm like, well, I'm gonna be by myself. I cut
Yeah.
everybody off. I'm gonna be by myself.
Go be by yourself. And we
Right.
wasn't meant to be by ourselves.
Hmm.
We not built for that. We built for community. We are all connected. We are all connected, right? So how you gonna do it by yourself? You're like, I had to learn the same thing. My mama wasn't there for me emotionally. My mom was on drugs for a while. When she wasn't on drugs, she was a workaholic because she had to, because she was a single parent. But she was barely truly present. And she had her own trauma she had never dealt with, right? So emotionally, she wasn't able to really be there and all that. I was raising her kids, you know what I'm saying? And all that. So I'm parentified, and in one sentence, I'm her best friend because her and her mama did not have much relationship. So what she tried to do was overcompensate that with me. And I was like her best friend. My mama was like my friend, except when she needed to discipline me, then she became my mama. Right? That's
Right.
confusing for me. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Thought we was cool. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And
Right.
all that. So, you gotta decide which one you want to be and all that. So that's conflicting for me. Like I say, plus when she's not able, she's depressed, she's using or whatever. Well, I'm taking care of my siblings. They're only one was 2 years, 2.5 years younger than me, the other one 4.5 years younger than me. Like, but I'm raising them. I'm taking care of their needs, right? And stuff like that. And so that caused some dissension with me and my when I got out of my mama's house, I was like, I want to be gone. I don't want to do this,
Right.
right?
But it's done. Yes.
Nah. I even told my siblings, I was like, so um if ever comes a time that mama needs to live with somebody, she can't live with me. I will funnel you whatever, however much money you need to help
She
take
can't. She
care of
got
her.
to go with one of
But she
y'all.
can't live with me. She gotta live with y'all, but I help y'all take care of her,
But you know what? You sound like my
because I
sister.
recognize I couldn't do that. I know I couldn't do that, right? And
Hmm.
stuff, and recognizing who she is and how she is. But because she had not been there for me, I learned how to be toxically independent.
Yeah.
I don't trust nobody. I got this. You ain't gotta worry about that. And that was part of an issue in my marriage is that, I love you, but I don't really need all that. You know what I'm saying? I got this, I got that. I take care of this, I take care of that. But then I also taught people how to take care of me, how to teach people how to treat you, right?
Hmm.
And so, in teaching people that I'm so independent that I don't need nobody, it left me alone. Because I'm the strong friend.
Right.
So don't nobody
Right.
check on the strong friend.
Right.
She good.
Well,
Y'all all right?
sometimes
She all
I
right.
hate
She
being
be
a
good.
strong friend sometimes because when I start to express myself, it's a problem. I can't have an emotion. I
Don't
can't
nobody know
feel
what to
this
do
way.
with it.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
express myself because then when I do, are you tripping? Are you? But I mean, I got feelings too. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's right.
they get hurt, I get upset, and I don't say I
Mm-hmm.
don't say nothing, and then I'm working on stop waiting until something happens for me to explode. But it's
Right.
just like, dang, y'all expect me to be the courageous lion. I
Right.
mean, I'm a Leo. I know we wear it gracefully, but it's just the point. Like,
All
dang,
right,
y'all
Leo.
expect?
My daughter, Leo.
Yes, I'm a Leo. Woo woo. And it's like y'all expect me to be this strong person to have no emotions and to listen to y'all problems all the time. But when it's my turn, y'all, ain't nobody listening. Let me call you right back, or I'm not supposed to have feelings.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that takes a toll on people too, mentally because they feel like they can't be heard, and then we explode, and then we tripping, we going, what I'm saying, and this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So as a stronger person, and like I say, everybody has their different levels of resilience, and some of us are just better at it, right? But that don't mean we don't need nobody. And so you have to start surrounding yourself with people who pour into you as much as you pour out. right? Because we're also the same people that will give the shirt off our back. We're the same people, that will give our heart. What you need, man? What you need? I got you, right? And stuff like that. But people can't. And I used to say people don't. People can't. They can't reciprocate. It's capacity. They don't have the ability to do as we do, and so we can't expect them to be us, right? We can't expect it. But we can surround ourselves with people, start seeking out and surrounding ourselves with people who can, right? So now I'm
Right.
starting to put myself in places where people can pour into me, you know, um, making myself the small fish in the big pond, right? And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And I've had to do this a lot more lately in entrepreneurship, right? And I'm joining these master classes and getting into this class and investing in myself and all that stuff or whatever. And it's super uncomfortable because I'm used to being the boss person in the room. I'm used to being the alpha, and
Right.
now I'm in a room with other people with millionaire mindsets, right? And I'm trying to learn this. I'm trying to get this
Right.
information,
Yeah.
but it's uncomfortable because I'm a small person. Now I don't know how to be the small person, outside of dimming my shine. But now that I've decided I'm not dimming my shine anymore, now I'm trying to pull from these other spaces and all that. But it feels good. It's uncomfortable, but it feels good when somebody is encouraging me. It feels
Yeah.
good when somebody's pouring into me, you know. Um, and in my personal life, I'm doing the same thing. Like if 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 you always calling me for something and I can't call on you for nothing, we're not friends. We're not friends. It's got to be reciprocal. I'm not going to continue to pour into an empty cup with a hole in it, because you
Right.
can never fill up enough to pour back, and you're not doing nothing to patch your hole either, you know, uh, because people will lean on you as a stronger person and they lean and they lean and you toppling over, right? But
Right.
they're not, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the strength to pull you up because they're not doing anything on their end to help their situation, you know. And I'm sure you hate this one. I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna ask you for the advice. I need all this help. Blah 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 blah. You help. You help. You help. You help. And they're in the same situation over and over again. How
Yeah.
many times? How many times you coming to me to vent and complain? Not even vent, to complain because you're not doing anything to change your situation, right?
Exactly.
You know.
Hmm.
And we can't tell people how to heal. We can't tell people how long it takes them to heal. But man, you gotta be doing something. You gotta be doing something. Even if you don't step your foot in the therapy office, we are in the age of information. Read an article, read a book, get a journal, go to YouTube, look at a podcast, like,
Right.
listen to a podcast. But they got so much information available, And yeah, do you have to cipher through it to figure out what's good information for you? Absolutely, just like anything else. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? But like, something do something to help yourself because you can't be sitting there miserable all the time and not doing anything about it. That doesn't make sense.
And
That's a
you're right.
mentality, a mindset.
You right, because I deal with that sometimes myself. So that's why I say so many people in the Black community are afraid to face the mental health issues that they deal with, whether it's
Mhm.
depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. We get afraid of the big words, and then we like, oh no. The biggest line is, "It ain't me." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I hear it ain't me. People say, "Oh no, that wouldn't be me," and then the whole time behind closed doors, you
but it
crying
is,
in
but
a
it is
pillow
you the
every
whole
night.
time.
Right, it's you. You
The
know what
whole
I'm saying?
time
So
it's
it's
you.
like I feel like we should be more comfortable enough instead of looking down like, "Oh, you got a therapist? Oh, what's wrong with you?" Well, maybe I just feel,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, or such and
Right.
such got such and such be over there talking to. We need
Hmm.
to stop doing that. I feel as a community
Yeah.
we should, encourage each other to talk to somebody because maybe that might save a life. That might,
Oh yeah.
save a person from doing something they really had no business doing. Or,
Right.
sometimes it just gives a person an opportunity to be heard. If they feel like they're not being heard,
Absolutely.
well, why you want to pay somebody to listen to you? Because if I tell
Because
you
I
for
need to be
free,
listened to.
you gonna tell Tom, Dick, and Harry. I could go pay
Yep.
him or her, and then we got a non-disclosure
And they
agreement on the
bound
two.
by law not to
She
say a
can't say
word.
nothing.
Can't
So
say
do you know?
nothing.
And it's crazy because when I first started college, I wanted to be a child psychologist, and then I was like, I get too emotionally attached. So do you find yourself sometimes getting emotionally attached to your clients and their
Mhm.
situations? You know what I'm
It's the
saying?
human in us, you know. And they teach us in school, like, to stay detached and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see how you can help people without being attached. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that's like I said, I worked in with kids for years and foster care and all, because they're in that arena too. It's like, don't get attached and don't hug them and don't, because they got trauma. And I was like, an appropriate hug can heal, you know, and stuff. An appropriate hug, and because we need physical touch to
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah.
Babies that don't get physical touch have failure to thrive, and stuff. When you come out your mama's womb, they put you on her chest because you need that touch, you know, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I get attached. Yeah, I get attached. And I like, and that's which is why I encourage people to be consistent in their therapy, because I'm like, man, you told me this story like a month ago. It's like we starting over again. You need to show me
Right.
again, you know,
Right.
because I'm vested. I'm truly vested. Like I said, this is, and I can't talk for every therapist. I can talk for me, because again, this is not just a profession for me. Like, this is a mission. This is a goal. This is like my purpose, right? And
Hmm.
because it's a purpose, I got to be attached to it. I got to be attached to the people. When people fall out of therapy, yeah, I get sad. When people ain't ready to move forward, yes, I get sad. You know, but everybody has their journey that they have to be on, and I have to realize that sometimes, that there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about one man watereth, one man planteth, one man watereth, and God gives the increase.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so I have to realize I might not be in that position to help them to the end of the road, but maybe I'm the planter. Maybe I'm just supposed to plant the seed. Maybe I'm part of their watering phase, you know, and all that. And maybe that it'll be somebody else or something else, and all that. But just to play the role that I have in that very moment. I also had, and one of my mama's last words to me, before she even passed away, was like, you take care of everybody else, you take care of yourself, and you can't save everybody. I had to get out of that.
Yeah.
I had to get out of that. You can't save everybody. Not every kid, not every adult. You cannot save everybody, right? And then I
Hmm.
started recognizing I am not the savior. You are the savior of yourself. I'm a healer, but I'm a guide. I'm like the doctor. I'm gonna do the surgery, right? But you got to do the healing part. You got to sit still, follow the instructions, take care of yourself, do the physical therapy, whatever it is you got to do, that. So it's the same thing for me. That, okay, if you come and see me once a week, I tell everybody, the real magic works and happens in between sessions.
Yeah.
The real
I,
magic works is when we talk about a thing and we recognize a thing, that you go and you journal in it. And when your feelings arise, you dealing with them and you processing them, and you're not yelling at your kids. You go into your room and you meditating, um, you using your art, right? You writing a book, you writing a poem, you expressing that thing in a way that's healthy rather than harmful, right?
right.
You are accepting the losses that's happened and seeing the lesson in every bad thing that's ever happened to you, because things don't happen to you, they happen for you, right?
Mm. Yeah. True.
There's a lesson in every obstacle, right? Because if we didn't have no obstacles, we wouldn't grow. We would just sit stagnant in our space, because nothing bad is happening. We ain't gotta pivot. You know what I'm saying? And we good at pivoting, especially as a culture of Black people. We are very resilient. You know what I'm saying? You see where we come from and what
Yeah.
we've had to endure and still enduring, right? And we still doing it. We still making it, you know. Do they have some of us that still down there, stuck in the bad mindset? Yeah. But it's our job as a community to help those people as much as possible to elevate, right?
You right, and that's
And
so
so,
very
and that's
true.
why I intentionally work with the communities that I work with. These are people that have trouble getting access. We come from households that's like, don't put my business in the street.
Right.
What
Yeah.
happens in my house stays
Stays in
in my
my house.
house.
Yeah. I was talking about
That's
that. 'Cause we did an episode
Mhm.
on the podcast, and it was childhood trauma versus adulthood trauma. And I had
Yeah.
some people on, and we were talking about it, and that's something we all can agree with. That was said. What happens in this house stays in this house, and I feel like
Hmm.
no, because sometimes you might need to reach outside this household to get some help. And
Let
I
me tell
feel
you
like a
something.
lot of people was raised that way, and it's not. I never agreed with that. You know what I'm saying? Because they worried about what Sister Jean gonna think at church, or what
Yeah.
they said, and it's like it causes us to not be able to communicate. I think that stopped me
Right.
from communicating on a lot of things with people because it was what happens here. Don't throw outside this household. Well, what happened? And maybe I should
Hmm.
have, because the
Right.
way that you're handling this situation is not the way. It's not going to help me later on in life.
That's
As I
right.
get older, I realize that, and I'm just like, dang, my
Yeah.
granny was the best granny in the world, but some ways that you handle situations, granny,
Relations.
it's like
Right. I want to say
it's
right.
affecting me in my 33 years
Mhm.
of living right now,
Exactly.
because I thought that was the right way to do it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Being a product of the LGBTQ community, how do you feel therapy could help us?
First of all, I didn't even discover my bisexuality until I was like 25.
I didn't. I
Okay.
just
You know
did in
why?
2019, so I understand.
So you know why? Because we're not allowed to talk about it.
You
The
right,
stigma,
you
right?
right.
Dare I not say that I thought a woman was fine? No, no, no. Now she just not pretty. Like a girl say she pretty. Like no, she fine,
Right.
right? And stuff. Like you dare not say that, right? Because you will get the tongue
And so,
lashing. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And all that. And what's wrong with you? And that ain't right. Not, again, that stigma and the um the judgment, of what is right and not right and all that kind of stuff, right? And religion and all that kind of crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and stuff like that. So because we deal with big stigma and being bisexual is at the lower end, especially as a female, that's more accepted than anything else,
Right. People don't be
right?
understanding me though. They don't hear me
Please
though.
don't be transgender, like because that's the biggest attack is on transgender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. And I tell people all the time, you ain't got to understand it to respect it.
You know what? And
You
and
don't
I'm
have to
starting to
understand it to
feel that
respect
way,
it.
because a lot of people like, when did you start liking girls, or you knew? How did you? The demeanor that you get from some people, and you be like, well, shit. It's like I didn't
I
know I
always
had
been
to.
this way. I just didn't have the freedom.
Yeah.
I always
Or
been this way. I just
like
didn't have the
I
freedom
didn't.
to open my mouth.
I think for me it was feelings I didn't know I had.
Exactly.
It
Hmm.
was like, because
Yeah.
for years I didn't think I wasn't interested, and then it's like when I started becoming, like I said, I discovered that in 2019. So
Hmm.
I'm new to this. I'm new, like,
Right.
they'll tell me, you new to this. You new in here. You getting your, and then
Hmm.
people be like, well, you're not really
Then they
into
questioning
girls.
the validity of that.
Yeah, like, how you gonna tell me how I feel? But I never thought, I never knew that those feelings was inside of me. So I
That's
feel
right.
like, now it's hard to talk about it with certain people because they stuck in their ways, or,
Hmm.
people are very judgmental, and then you don't want them to think like, well, oh, you've been looking at me all this time, because no.
That's my favorite.
No,
That's my that's my favorite one. And the other one that's my favorite um is, well, how a kid know whether they like the same sex or not. And I always do this. This is my favorite thing to do. What's the first look, especially if it's a guy? What's the first little girl you liked at school? How old you was? Oh, it was so and so in preschool or so and so in kindergarten. And tell me about it. What you liked about her? I make them go through the whole experience because you remember that first crush when you
Yeah.
was little, right?
Hmm.
And they go through the thing, and she was this and she was that. She had long hair, blah 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 blah. Blah. I said, but you knew you liked her, huh? And they're like, yeah, I want her to be my girlfriend. I say, same thing with everybody else then. So
Yeah.
what you mean somebody that's 5 or 4 don't can't don't know if they're attracted to the same sex or not? I say that's a societal standard and norm. Maybe that child that don't seem like they like nobody, can't freely like who they like because of societal standards and norms. You think
Mhm.
they weird, they just homosexual. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? So he
right.
don't like no, you don't like no little girls. Mm-mm. But in his head, he like, but I like the little boy though.
Over here,
You
right. And
know,
he,
but I
but he
can't say
can't
that
tell.
out
Yeah,
loud because
yeah.
not socially acceptable. And so again, we teaching kids, you know, you're teaching a child, and I know there's so much, especially so much controversy when it to like transgender and all that kind of stuff or whatever, or whatever. If you can let your child dress up like Superman, let them dress how they feel like dressing. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I just don't see it as a huge deal if we don't stigmatize it. You know what I'm saying? Um, you're teaching if you because even like the gender roles that we teach, right? You
Hmm.
know, men supposed to put out the trash. Well, damn, and I'm a single parent and I'm a mama and I ain't got no man up in here, so I can't never touch the trash.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, true.
so
You're
it's the same
right.
kind of concept for me that like we're teaching roles of things and how you're supposed to dress. So the idea that, you know, something as simple as pink is for girls. But what if this little boy like pink and genuinely he likes that color? So he can't choose or wear pink because it's for girls? Like that's just a bunch of bullshit. It's a color. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think we create these particular things that we think things should the way things should be, right? And like you say, even within our community, our LGBTQ community, you know, there's still stigma within the. My son-in-law was just talking about this earlier. He's Hispanic, and transgender, um, and he's like, "Mama, why do people within minority communities like why we hate on each other? Why we like, you know?" And he talked about a situation about this lady who was obviously Hispanic because she was speaking in Spanish as well, and she was just talking about because the Mexicans this and the Mexicans that, right, and
Hmm.
stuff. He was like, "Why do people do that? Like, you recognize that you are also minority, right?"
Right.
Again, is Ye told y'all a long time ago in one of his older songs. They taught us to hate ourselves and love their wealth. You know, it's self hate, right?
Right.
You know, it's self hate. You know, I know one lady who um identifies as white. Her grandfather, not great grandfather, not great great grandfather, her grandfather is from Mexico. And her dad, and that's her dad's dad, and her dad um mostly identifies as white and kind of denounces that, right? Which
Hmm.
taught her the same thing, right? So now she doesn't even feel enough value within the self to identify with the Hispanic community, right? Because she feel like she don't even deserve it, you know, and all
And
that. So like it can go both ways and all that, you know. Um, and people who are like white presenting who have, you know, minority heritage and all that kind of stuff. Like you've heard about it in the black communities back in the day. If you was passing for white, you know, then you got to make some
like,
choices.
yeah.
Do I take advantage of the privilege of that? Or do I stay down with my people? Or, you
Right.
know, like what do I do? Right. But
Yep.
whatever privilege that you do have, right? Like I said, my daughter and her husband, um, they present as a hetero couple, right? And I told him because he was like, sometimes I feel guilty about that, and other times, you know, because like he wants to stand up and he wants to, you know. And I said, this is the thing. So now you operate in a certain privilege that you present as a hetero couple, right? So
Hmm.
use that to your advantage, not just for you, but for the community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Use
true.
your privilege. I know white people that they like, I know I'm privileged, but I would want to use the privilege that I have to speak on behalf of those who don't have it. Right. So it's all about using what you have to help each other. Again, we all connected. So what you gonna do to help your fellow man? You know?
That's dope, man. Like to be able to communicate with people and talk to them about what's going on, and to be able to relate to so much, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I feel as if talking to you today made me realize it's okay.
It is.
It's okay. Like not even just with the LGBTQ community, just in life in general though. It's okay. If you want to talk to somebody, go ahead and talk to somebody,
Yeah. And
about
you
it,
don't have to
because
be in distress. Like earlier,
right.
you said sometimes you just need to unload. That first few sessions is usually an unloading session. We ain't even got to know deep, deep stuff. It's just like, I feel like this, you know. Did you, and in my set, and when I do therapy, I tell people we dig into the past when we have to, but we don't live there, right?
Mm.
Um, we're not staying stuck in the thing that happened to you because it's over. It happened. We got to deal with the repercussions of what happened and how to heal you from it, right? So we reach back there, we get the stuff, we understand the thing. Oh, I do this because my mama did, blah 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 blah. But then we bring it to the present and say, okay, now how can I heal that and become better and stuff like that? And so, but most of the time, it's like it's just unloading. You're getting all the stuff week by week or every 2 weeks or whatever, you know. Like I say, I'm at a great point in my journey now. I'm not letting my therapist go. I'm like every
I
four
want to
weeks, every
get one.
6 weeks, I need to check in. I need to I have moments like that. I'm like, ooh, my messed up attachment style is kicking in, or I'm having some intrusive thoughts, or help me get through this moment, right? And stuff. Transitions. We continue to go through transitions in life. A kid coming out of high school is transitioning into adulthood. They can use a therapist for that to help navigate those feelings of fear and uncertainty. And oh, well, I'm about to get married. Well, what marriage is gonna be like? Oh, that's a transition. Let's talk about that. I'm about to be a new mama. Well, let's talk about that. Well, you know what? My kid having a transition. I need to talk about that. I don't know how to deal with my kid because they running off and they acting a fool. I don't know what's wrong with them. Well, let's not talk about what's wrong with them. Let's talk about what happened. Stop looking at
Right.
people like, what's wrong with you? What happened to you? Right? And what do you need to do to help heal that thing, to alleviate that pain? Because we all just operating in that heavy pain that we're carrying, and we need to release it and let it go so that we can grow and heal and, become one with the universe. You know what I'm saying?
And see, that's what I need help with, trying to figure out a lot. That's why I say, girl, I might have to call you. Might have to
Call
call
me.
you. I
You
might
need to let
have
me
to
know. You know what
join
I'm
the team, because
saying?
it's hard. Like I said, it's hard, and then we get looked at with like mental health issues. People always look at it like a bad thing. Depression is
Yeah.
a form of mental health issues. A big,
Yeah.
like one of the biggest, if you ask me, because
Yeah. Oh
people
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the
smile.
most
You
common.
never know that a person behind that smile go home behind closed doors
Baby.
and they crying, and then they just down, and and then you see them at work tomorrow. They be like, hey, you
Hey,
you know, and
we
then
do
you
our
be
best
like,
masking all the time.
yeah,
I
and I
remember
do
when
that.
remember
I do
Twitch
that a
when Twitch
lot.
died.
I ball up. I call it ball up like a piece of paper. I
Mm-hmm.
ball up. I don't
Yeah.
say nothing, and then the next day I get up and it's like, well, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
And all you're
But it's
doing is you stuffing. You just
yeah,
stuffing and
and,
stuffing and stuff. And guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna get to the point that you're not gonna be able to hold it no more. And
then it's like
usually, because
boom,
my
yeah,
other phrase I say all the time is, "What's in you has to come out of you," and you have to make a choice on how it's gonna come out. Because it's gonna come out regardless. It's
right.
going to come out. And you're going to keep stuffing until there's no more room in your body and your spirit and your mind to hold it. And that's when we wind up going to jail, you
Yeah,
know, getting ourselves killed. Like some craziness comes out. You know what I'm saying? Hell,
I
most
just be
child abuse happens
afraid.
because some parents are overboiled,
Yeah, because I
you
get
know?
afraid because I like you said, I stuff so much, and one time I just went on and just let it all out, but the way I did, I exploded. And my family sent me to Pine Rest, to the crazy place. And I was hurt because it's like I don't never express myself. And when I finally
But
do,
when you
y'all,
did,
y'all tried to say I'm crazy. And I ain't crazy. These my
mm-hmm,
feelings. I just don't. I just let
yeah,
y'all step over and step over. So it's like I've been in a resentment stage. Like I ain't talking to these people because they. If I tell them something, or if I say something, it's gonna be used against me, as y'all gonna be trying to lock me up.
against you.
So now
Right,
I'm
right.
afraid to, but I feel like me transitioning, like you say, everything is a transition. So me becoming a podcaster is a transition into my life.
Yes,
This is new for
right.
me. Being a published
Yeah.
author, okay, I had publishers, but now I'm self-published. That's a transition because now
Okay.
I have to do everything myself. I'm
For
learning.
yourself. Yeah.
I became the CEO of my own publishing company. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on
But
now.
it's like I don't know what to do. And I was like,
Yeah.
people be like, oh, well, you this and that. No, I don't. I'm transitioning. I'm learning. But when are you going
I'm
to start
learning.
publishing people? When I feel that I
Once
can do that. I'm
once I get
oh,
this
yeah,
running like a
like
well-oiled machine, then I can do that.
right. So as soon as they automatically think like, oh, you balling. No, I'm not. Like
No, I'm
I'm
not.
investing more than I'm getting out of this. Y'all don't
Will you
understand.
tell people that's how we start?
Like we invested more into this. I'm spending more money to show
That's
y'all what
right.
I'm doing than I'm
That's
making, and
right.
y'all actually.
Right.
And then like
It's
it's
a
a transition
process.
when you like I tell people like I think that by you knowing me and we grew up together, I feel that y'all should automatically support me. But I'm
Yeah.
transitioning
But you
into the
can't do
thought
that.
that
Yeah.
I get more love from people I don't even know than the people that I do know. That's the transition because then
Yeah.
you don't know how to take it sometimes. So people don't understand it. That's why I feel like I'm ready to accept the fact that I want to talk to somebody because I want to continue on transitioning in my journey, but I don't want to keep bringing this baggage with me. And it feels
Absolutely.
like I'm rebuilding myself, but I feel like I'm on this elevator shaft and I'm trying to go
Yeah.
up floors and I'm steady bringing the from stuff with me from the previous floor. Like I'm trying to elevate
Right.
and then
Ah,
I'm
that's a
taking
good
this
word.
with me. So
Yeah. That's
now I'm
such a
on
good
level
word.
6, but I'm still carrying what happened from level 1 and
Yeah.
I don't know
You
how
got to
to
kick
let
some
it
stuff off
go.
your elevator.
Yeah, girl, it's full and I'm ready to let it go
You
because I'm
know?
not elevating in
Yeah.
what I want to do
Yeah.
because I'm stuck. I can admit that I'm stuck and I'm trying to
Right.
figure it out because I want my daughter to look at me and be like, okay, mama made it through this. And this is how you handle this is how you carry your situation. This is how you do it. But I'm in a position right now. I'm stuck. I'm like, man, I got all this stuff going on. I tell my friend, like, I'm really, just got to the point I was scared of success. What if this really works?
Bruh. Bruh. Who you telling?
So that's the transition,
It's
and
a
if
real
it's
thing. It's a
like
real thing.
you so used to things going wrong, you know how to handle when things go wrong. So what
Yeah.
if this
Yeah.
go
You used
right?
to being in crisis. It's like it's learning how to live in crisis mode. And so you always in crisis. You don't know how to deal with the calm of things. You don't know how to deal when everything is quiet. You don't know how to deal when things are going well. So you just waiting for the shoe to drop all the time. Like something about to go down. I don't know what it is, but it's about to go down. Right. And I just need to be prepared for that thing. And you can't prepare for everything, especially when you're in a new arena, right? And yeah, stuff is gonna happen. That's just how life goes. Like, and I tell people all the time, life has ups and downs, right? How we handle them is in our mentality toward them is gonna be what makes the difference. Life not gonna stop lifing. It's gonna keep doing what it do. But your
Exactly.
perspective will change it from it looking like this, like way up and down, to this. Just a flow. It's gonna go up and down. It's gonna go up and down. It's gonna go up and down. But my perspective now is when something happens, I'm like, a thing is happening. you know, I
Yeah.
don't like it. It feels uncomfortable. I can't stand this. But I know I'm gonna get something out of it. I know there's a lesson coming. I know universe, what I'm supposed to learn from this one because I don't like. Can you make it hurry up though? Because
Right.
not right now. I'm trying to speed to the lesson. I'm like, okay, let's journal this. What I'm supposed to get out? What can I possibly get out of this situation? Because I need to get this crap over with, right? And all that. But now it's different. Whereas before, it would have felt catastrophic, right? It would have felt like my world was ending. It would have felt like, oh Lord have mercy, not me. Why me, Lord? Why me? Well, why not you? You got growing to do. You got something you need to learn, right? And if the
Hmm.
same thing keep happening to you over and over again, then you're not learning the lesson that you're supposed to be learning. I listen to women who are like, I keep attracting the same kind of dude. Well, who is it? Is it dude? Is it you? Why are
Right.
you attracted? Right? What is it about you that keep attracting assholes? So let's work on, your asshole meter.
That part. Yeah,
Right?
true.
I used to have victim across my forehead too. Now I have no bullshit across my forehead. And some guys don't even come in my vicinity myself in such a way that like, oh, she's not taking no shit off nobody. I'm not even going over there and trying to talk shit to her. Because you carry a certain aura about yourself, right? you
Exactly.
know and so um and it can feel lonely. It can feel lonely because the more you elevate, the more you grow, the less people are up there or whatever. But keep surrounding yourself with the people that's pouring into you, you know And you being an author and stuff like that too, like you can pour so much into these books and and helping people in that way, even through fiction. Like how many stories can you come up with about situations and all that can help people to read that and see themselves, right?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
therapy too. That's therapeutic. It's therapeutic. And maybe somebody might read one of them books and be like, you know what? I think I might go need to go see a therapist. I think I might need to go get some help with this thing. Because people can see better when it's outside of themselves. Then they're like,
Mm.
oh wait, that's me. That's me. You know. Which is why even in therapy for myself, I do that in a different way too, because I share stories of my own, right? And it's totally against all the things they teach you in school, because they're like, no disclosure. But we are storytellers, especially as Black people. You know what I'm saying? That's how we used to learn. Like villagers would tell, the storyteller or whatever of the village would tell you the stories of the past and the things that went on, and this is how we learned, and this is how we learned this, and like Jesus
Mhm.
spoke in parables, right? Those are stories. You know what I'm saying? And so if I have a story that I know will help you, why wouldn't I tell it? Why
Right.
wouldn't I tell it? you know, and stuff. And I get the concept is you're not trying to change from being the therapist to the counselor. I
Mm.
mean to the client, right? And all that. But again, that means you need to be working on your work so that you can tell the story, get in there, all right, get the point done, and then jump out. You're not spilling your beans for them to help you. You're just trying to say, okay, here's an example. Here's what I did. What you think about that? And sometimes I tell a story and I have one purpose and that person can get a whole nother purpose out of it. I'm like, that's just spiritual, universal, God-like shit right there. Like I can't even, that wasn't me, dog. That wasn't me.
Right.
That was
And
beyond
sometimes
me. That was supernatural, and stuff like that. So
we
I just
need
keep doing what I'm
we
doing
need
at the
people
best that
like
I
you in the
can.
world because we really need people like you to talk to.
Thank you.
We
Thank
really
you.
do
And
because the vibe. You know what I'm saying? I feel comfortable talking. I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and I'm just like you.
I had a couple of people be like, I feel like I got a free therapy session today when I go
Yeah,
on
no, I'm like,
podcasts. Because,
hold on, wait a minute,
again, this
but
is with
you
me.
know, but it feels good though. How comfortable you made me feel to be able to share and talk to you. We need that
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
individuals because people, like I said, it's not always easy to talk to people.
It's
So
not.
we
It's not.
need you as individuals, and I'm getting your information after this because I think I want to, become
Okay.
a part of the team. I need help. But a lot
Oh,
of us
yeah.
don't want to. A lot of us don't want to admit mentally that we need help. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. And I
And
want
that's
to
the
talk to
first key.
somebody. I want to talk to somebody that's gonna give it to me with no bullshit.
Come on, bro.
You
Because
know,
people think they want bullshit, but they don't.
I don't want. I
They
don't want to
don't.
sugarcoat it. My granny was tough on me, so I want
You
it
know.
straightforward. But if
Yeah. And I
somebody
think that's
wanted
how
to
most of us
come,
grew up with tough parents.
yeah.
We grew
So
up with
I
tough
don't want
parents, so we
that.
need that toughness.
Yes. So if somebody wanted to get with you, how can we find you?
Go to my website is the easiest thing. I am a solopreneur. I do have a business phone number, but I barely answer it. I have to call you back, and I got ADHD, so I'll probably forget. See, that's real honest, okay? Um, I am just developing my team because like I said, I've been doing this by myself for a minute, but I'm starting to develop a team, and my girls are helping and all that. But the website is the easiest because all of my information is on there, and that's choosingempowerment.com. I just started a podcast that I have not, because y'all know it's hard to start a new thing. Um, but I'm working on my podcast. It's called Fuck the Bullshit Podcast. Um, and I'm gonna get back into that really soon. But there's one little episode on there, little intro. And I also have, speaking of groups and community, I have a lot of Facebook groups that I try to do, that I develop as a part of just getting people together to talk about the things and all that. And there's some of something for everybody. There's a cycle breaker village, um, black cycle breaking men, black cycle breaking women, cycle breaking people of color. cycle breakers, single parents, cycle breaker LGBTQIA, incarceration cycle breakers, and foster adoptive cycle breakers. Just so the village is for everybody, anybody inclusive in that. But I broke those other things down so you can have a safe space, right?
Okay.
So if you're not part of the LGBTQ community, don't try to get in that group because we're not about no bullshit in that group. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't living our life, then I don't need your opinion.
Right.
If you're not a black woman, then don't get in the black woman group because we're gonna talk things in the way we talk about them, right? And I don't need nobody in there being offended because you're not a black woman, you know. Which is why I separated it out like that, and especially for my black men because they don't feel safe at all. And
Right.
they need a space where they can say what is on their mind without judgment, without stigma, without a woman having 5 things to say about it or judging them and all that kind of stuff, right? So literally, I think I'm the only female in that group, and that's just as a therapist. And I only ask the questions. I don't make comments, like because it's not my group. I'm not a black man, So I created those Facebook groups for that same purpose. Um, and right now, I'm accepting people for individual therapy. I am also a training ground for black and therapists of color or allies. If you white and you want to work with a community and you can feel us and understand us, then let's go. So I do supervision. I'm getting my supervision's license in Texas. I already have my supervision's license in Louisiana. Therapists that's coming out of school, you could do internships while you're still in school at my practice. Um, you can do your supervision. You're trying to get your hours so you can become licensed. Come on, let's do it. Because I'm trying to build a practice of no bullshit therapists like myself. Because I can't see everybody. you
Right.
know, um, I can't see everybody, and I'm gonna start doing some therapy and support groups as well. That's going to be very economically priced so everybody can get in and start because sometimes you don't have the ability to do the individual availability, whether it's availability, price, or whatever. I'm a barrier breaker, I'm gonna find a price point that's comfortable for folk, and we're gonna start seeing instead of doing just 1-on-1 and 1-on-10 5, but you can get in there and then you can build a community as well while you're working on the things and all that kind of stuff. So we growing, we doing some things. I know I got some books in me too. I'll let you about that publishing, you know. you know,
But
I got lots of stuff on the burner, as
that's
I
what's
build
up.
my team and I'm able to start doing those things.
That's what's up. Y'all check her out. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta get with her. No bullshit. You know what I'm saying? We gotta quit dealing with the bullshit, period. I want to say
Stop
thank
the
you
bullshit.
so much for coming on the show
You are
today. I would
welcome.
love to have you again because we're going to talk. I want to get deeper,
Absolutely.
more into mental health, and it's always good to have
Okay.
people that know what they talking about. Maybe we can get a group discussion going
Yeah,
on and do a
that'd
podcast
be
group
good.
wise and to talk about mental
Yeah.
health and things like that. And I think we could do that. So I'm definitely going to set that up with you because I do lives
Okay.
every Sunday at 8 o'clock and we just talk about different
Okay.
stuff. Topics are different, and a lot of people been writing me telling me I
Yeah.
should do something about mental health because we don't talk about it. So I
Let me
think
know
that
where you want me at, sis. Let me know where
I
you want
got
me.
you.
I
I
got you.
definitely would love to, but I really want to thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all catch us if you missed it. Go on YouTube, all streaming platforms by later on tonight. Y'all be able to sit back and listen to us and check us out. Once again, thank you so much for coming on Lola's Chronicles. Y'all tap in. Love
Thank you
y'all,
for
and we
having me.
out.